From Washington to Hollywood and right back to Wisconsin. It's Nightlight with Pete Schwaba and Greg Bach. Connecting the dots on the stories shaping our world with smart takes, sharp humor, and plenty of personality.
I really expected more professional behavior from you.
It's news and culture without the noise.
Yeah, man!
Here's Pete Schwaba
Dude.
and Greg Bach.
Dude!
Just a couple dudes joining you on this beautiful Wednesday night. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Nightlight with Pete Schwaba and Greg Bach. I am Pete Schwaba, coming to you live from Northeast Wisconsin on the shores of Lake Michigan, more specifically Green Bay. And joining me, as always, just down the coast of beautiful Lake Michigan is Mr. Greg Bach, coming to you live from Radio Park in Racine. How are things in Racine tonight, my friend?
Peachy keen. The weather is nice. The day is fine, and so happy to be with the both of you today, as well as everyone listening out there in Radioland.
It's great to have you with us, folks. We have a really fun show tonight. We're going to talk about some interesting topics, have a few laughs, maybe a few drinks, a few stolen moments. Let's just see what happens, guys. Let's keep the door open for fun.
Oh, all right. Okay. Then nothing says fun like keep the door open.
Damn it. We are going to have fun if it kills us. Dom, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. After that speech, I'm so hyped. Nothing is better.
That was my Vince Lombardi type style speech to get people riled up. And I thought for a moment there, I made Greg leave because he disappeared from the stream, but he's back. It's good to have you back, buddy.
Hello. I changed my mind. I was like, man, this doesn't sound fun at all. Like, no, don't quit,
I guess
son.
I'll stay.
Don't quit.
Stay for Dom, if nothing else. I understand your, contentious attitude toward me and what I just said, but stay for Dom. Dom needs
and my haircut.
He needs our guidance.
I'm just contentious in general. Apparently, that's what I've been told in various meetings. I'm a contentious boy.
It's a lovable contention, though.
Thank you.
I don't think it's like
I'm irascible.
Yeah. Oh wow, I haven't. Great word. Love it, buddy.
Thank you.
This is a big day for me, too, I will say, because I took the flannel sheets off last night, June 2nd, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Dom. Wow. Thank you, Greg. Yeah. I'd like to thank the Academy. It's a big day, and it was a little warm the last couple nights, but, up here, it can be 38 at night sometimes, but I think we're out of the woods. So I'm very excited about that. Got the regular sheets on. Looking forward to a rockin' night of sleep.
Excellent.
You guys have a good day?
Yeah, it was busy. It's just busy. There's always stuff going on. There's always and just when you think things are good, you're like, all right, cool. And you're like, oh no, I got to do this. It's just busy, which I guess in the long run is good versus just sitting on the couch or sitting at work, being like, what do I do now?
The same for me. For me, it was the opposite. Yeah, and it was just an all right day. It was kind of like lazy. I didn't really do much. I kind of just sat around.
You usually don't. Dom, can I give you a piece of advice?
Yeah.
You usually don't say you did nothing at work.
Besides work, besides
it was
work.
just not nearly enough for me to do here today.
It was like, it was busy work. Yeah.
Yeah. I get it.
That's all part of it. I saw this great reel last night. This cracked me up. It was a guy who calls places that he doesn't work and says he's not coming in today because he wants to go fishing. I could not. I was literally laughing, laying in bed last night next to my wife. I was worried I was going to wake her up. And it was like, and the woman doesn't know that he doesn't work there. And she's like, this guy's name is Jordan. And she's like, Jordan, you have to come in. You can't just not come into work and go fishing. He's like, well, can't I take a sick day? And she goes, no, you have to be sick and you have to set that up. And she goes, if you don't show up after what you just told me, you're going to get dinged and get a disciplinary note or whatever. And he goes, well, how many of those do I get? You are missing the point. I mean, I just love watching people mess with people.
I see there's two there out right now. There's one where it's just a smash of videos where people are being rude to customers, but there's actually nobody on the phone and the bosses are freaking out. They're like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, all right. And the other one is a young lady who I don't know if she's from another country or she's doing an accent, but she messes with scammers. And they're like, what do they say? The one she always opens up with is like, give me your address. She goes, I'm not wearing a dress. I'm wearing pants. And it's just making these scammers lose. Because when scammers lose their mind, they go nuts. Like they swear, they get in your face as much as they can on the phone. But it's I like watching. I like watching low stakes messings with. Like I don't want to see someone who's cool and nice get messed with. But like those two situations, absolutely wonderful. Here for it.
Love it. And, our buddy Tom Clark, very funny comedian, Milwaukee native, does that. He used to record himself. I saw him do this on Twitter where a telemarketer would call. And he would just take his time with everything. And he'd be like, all right, hold on. Let me find my pen here. 1 second. He'd take like a minute. And he'd go, where is it? It's my favorite pen. I got to use. And he just holds the phone up and the guy's losing his mind. It's so great. Like, I'm with you. I don't mind messing with those people.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of telemarketer, and this is one in the live world, not over the phone. So last night, I'm at the age now where the night's pretty much shut down. When I get done with work here, I go home, I get my pajamas, and I relax for a little while. Then I go to bed. At 8:40 p.m., there is a knock on our front door. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
And first of all, my dog loses her mind. Open up the door, and it's someone trying to sell us pest control services.
You've got to be kidding. Who does that?
8:40 on a Tuesday night. To me, 7 o'clock's the cutoff. You can get people after work, after dinner, but after 7 o'clock, because you don't know the situation at a house. You don't know if there are little kids that are going to bed. You don't know what's going on. But 8:40, and it got to the point where I had to pick up Maybell and bring her into the kitchen. And my wife is trying to be very polite, but this person's not taking no. Like, we have a service already. And they did that thing that all of them do nowadays. They're like, yeah, we were talking to Tony and Rita and Steve and Carol down the street. I'm like, if you tell me about my neighbors, I'm definitely not working with you because I know this is not this. No, thank you. But finally, I just said from like I was probably 20 feet away from her in the kitchen where she was outside. I go, we're not interested. And that was it. Because I'm like, I was so angry. So angry.
Limits and boundaries. Yeah, that's terrible. I don't even come to my door. If you see me outside, I just hate being solicited. I'm at an age, Greg, where I cannot be sold stuff. Don't try to sell me stuff. I know where to go if I need something. I don't need you in my face. I don't need pop-ups. I don't need door-to-door people. I'm totally with you on that.
Let me come to you in the sense of, like, you want to email, if you want to call. I get calling, And frankly, I understand some, and these are always young kids. They always look like they're off for college and they're trying to make some money. I get that hustle too, but use some common sense. After 7 o'clock, 7:30 at the latest, don't knock on doors. 8:40, it's almost dark outside. And I was just so mad. And especially the fact that my wife said no at least 5 times.
And they don't understand that you've heard all the sales pitches. Yeah, when they're right out of school, it's like, how would you like to stop? I see you coming. Just knock it off.
Stop trying to bully us into taking your services, man. Seriously. It's just, so angry.
Well, let's switch gears here and tell everybody about our great guest we have tonight. Joining us at 5:35 tonight, folks, will be a representative named Elisabeth or Elizabeth? We'll figure that
Elisabeth.
out.
Yep.
Elizabeth. Okay. She is joining us from Support the Prairie Land Defendants. She's going to tell us about a very interesting and troubling trial that's coming up. We'll get the details about ICE protesters that have been imprisoned. And it's a whole to-do down in Texas, and Elisabeth will tell us about what's happening with that. Second hour, I'm very excited to welcome Felipe Torres Medina. He is the award-winning humorist and writer for Stephen Colbert. He's also got a very successful book out called, Greg, this is your buddy. His book is called America Let Me In, A Choose Your Immigration Story. I'm actually fascinated to ask him about the title. Yeah, I want to know what that means. It's interesting.
What do you... Okay. Well, yeah, you ask him. I was going to say, I'll explain to you, but realize he's going to be on, so he'll talk about that.
I'll go right to the source, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
So we got 2 great guests tonight. It's going to be another fun night here at Nightlight. Got a great question coming up, but first, we have to get to some business, folks, and it's business that could put some money in your pocket. It's our Accelerate Your Summer multi-state text-to-win contest. We do these periodically here at Civic Media. They're an absolute blast. All you need as the listener is the app. That's all you need to play. I'm about to give you this hour's keyword. When I give that to you, text it in on the app, and you are eligible to win $100 and a Wisconsin Dells prize package. It's a great daily prize, and by playing, you're automatically enrolled or eligible, I should say, for the grand prize, which is a $250 grocery card and a $250 gas card. $500 of fun right there, guys. What do you think about that?
Doesn't not use that right now besides totally rich people.
Crazy.
And another thing too, really quick, is if this is your first time entering and you get a response back from us, first of all, allow us to respond back. Sometimes it goes to like a spam or whatnot. But if you get a response saying, hey, click here, and it's a portal to let you subscribe to a newsletter or follow us on social media, something like that. If you do that little task, you'll get one extra entry throughout the entire, not every day, not every entry, just the one time, you're good to go. But hey, if you enter every single time, that adds up, and you got yourself one extra entry. That gives you an edge.
Absolutely. And winners are selected. You have 7 chances to win every day: 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1, 3, and 5, like this hour. And then again in the 7 o'clock hour, when we sign off, you'll have one more chance to win. But right now, in this 5 o'clock hour here at Nightlight, our keyword, ladies and gentlemen, is wave. Oh, I should have let that build up a little more. Sorry, Tom.
What's that word, Pete?
It's wave. W-A-V-E, wave. So text that in on the app, and you have a chance to win really most excellent prizes. Good luck, everybody.
Spelling counts. Capitalization does not.
Absolutely. Wave. W-A-V-E, wave. It's a great word.
And here they come. Let's see. Brett from Brown Deer, Cheryl and Waukesha. Everyone's starting to text. There we go.
I love it. So a quick reminder too, folks. Tomorrow night,
yes,
it's Thursday. Nightlight Movie Club takes place in the second hour. This week's movie is Casino Royale, a great James Bond movie. Yep. Picked by our senior producer, Tucker Legursky. He picked this week's movie. We are going to discuss it tomorrow in the second hour, and we would love for you to be a part of that. We're going to talk about great lines, great action scenes, since it's a James Bond movie. We're going to talk about our favorite James Bonds over the years. There's been several. So if you can, check out Casino Royale before tomorrow night, or if you know it by heart, whatever. If you've seen it 20 times, just join the fun. We always love it when you guys participate. So
Always.
Yeah. Without further ado, I think we should get to our question of the night.
Yes. Let's talk about the question.
Okay, question.
Question.
Pregunta.
Question.
Okay,
I have a question. Questions? This question.
Domanda.
Question. Questions.
All right. Whether you are aware of this or not, folks, there's some serious emergency flooding happening in the Far East. I did not have a chance, Greg. I clipped this article and I did not really read it, but it did lead me to the question of the night. So, mea culpa. Our question of the night is: what natural disaster freaks you out the most? What are you most scared of when it comes to natural disasters?
And I posed this. Oh, I was going to say, I'm sorry, I've interrupted you.
No, please.
I posted too on Facebook on my page saying, and feel free to give us maybe a made up movie scenario too if you'd like. You never know. There's lots of movies where
a lot of them.
Oh yeah. For natural disasters.
Yeah, but real or fake? We'd love to know what your your scariest natural disaster.
Your favorite natural.
I love a good tornado in the spring.
I've always wanted to be in the eye of a storm. It's emergency floods and tropical storm. I don't even think I'm saying this right. Jangmi.
Yang
probably. You're probably right. I always defer to you on the bilingual stuff. But let us know. 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Let us know what natural disaster freaks you out the most. Folks, this is Nightlight with Pete Schwaba and Greg Bach. The keyword is out there. Have some fun. We're coming back to tell you what's going on. It's Nightlight here on the Civic Media Network. Welcome back. This is Nightlight with Pete Schwaba and Greg Bach. I am Pete Schwaba, joined as always by Mr. Greg Bach down in Radio Park in Racine, and Mr. Dom Lee producing the show and working the board in Madison at Civic Media HQ. Our contest is in full swing, folks. It's our Accelerate Your Summer multi-state text-to-win contest here at Civic Media. All you need is the app to play. Text in this hour's keyword right now if you can. It's WAVE, W-A-V-E, WAVE. You got to text it in on the app, and you are eligible for $100 That's part of our daily prize and a Wisconsin Dells prize package. Those are both of our daily prizes. How cool would that be to win, you guys? You show up at Wisconsin Dells, you got $100 burning a hole in your pocket. Get out of here. That's insane.
I wouldn't know. I'll never know.
No, but we like to bring it to the people. So enrolling or automatically, if you play, you're automatically eligible for our grand prize, which is a $250 grocery card. And a $250 gas card. So those are two great prizes. So good luck, everybody.
Yes.
Our question of the night is inspired by horrible weather in Japan, and I still don't know how to say that, Greg. I should have looked it up during the break. It's Jangmi, Yangmi. I was like Jangmi. I'm sure it's not that.
I love Italian sausages.
So our question of the night, folks, is what natural disaster are you most scared of? Let us know at 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. You can also text us on said app, or if you're watching the radio on Facebook, YouTube, or X Twitter, drop us a stream comment and be part of the fun.
It's pronounced Jangmi. It's
Jangmi.
Korean for rose. That's what the word means.
Wouldn't that be a great last name? Like Schwabe is so unexotic.
Well, maybe it's exotic somewhere else for someone else. Who knows?
Maybe.
Imagine running around the world having your last name be like Smith or Johnson or Lee or something. Something just so boring.
Here's what I know, though. You don't have to spell that for every customer service person you ever talk to.
Fair point. Fair point. I'm just kidding, Mr. and Mrs. Lee. I'm just being funny here. Christina, don't be mad at me. Christine, don't be mad at me, please. Couple of things before we jump into the news, real quick here. Yeah. There was a question on the text line about the movie club selection. I believe it was Teresa who asked this question. Teresa in Madison, it's the Casino Royale from 2006. It's the James Bond with Daniel Craig, not the original one with Peter Sellers. So just want to make that clear. It's the more recent version. So
we got to pick a Peter Sellers movie, though, at some point.
Oh, absolutely.
Love Peter Sellers.
That'd be great. Just Pink Panther right there. Just
any of them. Absolutely.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Yeah. So we got, there's some things happening we should probably mention, Greg, before we get to the news and get to our first guest. But what should we start with here? There's a couple. Trump is coming to Wisconsin. I know you guys have heard that. And this was interesting. It said this is in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel.
Yeah.
It said his net approval reached -24. I don't even understand that. What is net? You're a poli-sci guy, Greg. What does that mean?
Well, the approval. So there's asking people what they think. You take the number and you find that percentage. It's usually like, it's the 20s, the 30s, the 40s. It's in the positive. But in here, in this is the Marquette University Law Poll. This is a special one because it's nationwide. Most of them are usually in Wisconsin, but this one is a U.S. version. And this is how they said. So Trump's net approval rating is calculated by subtracting the percentage who approve of how he's handling his job from those who disapprove, which reach. So that's how you get it. You take the approve, subtract the disapprove, and that's what you get. It's a -24 in the new poll. And it's down 3 points from April. And, what's funny about this article, not funny, haha, but even though that his approval rating is going down and people are really still very worried about the economy and inflation, a fair amount of Republicans would still vote for a Trump-approved candidate. Not Trump himself, but someone who he approved. It said Republicans, 71% said they would vote for a 2026 primary candidate endorsed by Trump. That's what the poll found. I mean, at the end of the day, like, no offense. I mean, like, I love Charles Franklin. I love the Marquette poll, but like the polls almost feel useless at this point because no matter what happens, they say fake news, not real, liberal. Yeah. And it's not. It's the Marquette University Law Poll or Marquette Law Poll is one of the most esteemed in the country. Yeah. So, it's not telling me anything that's new, but it just shows every time it comes out, it goes further and further down.
Here's what was new to me, and I kind of knew this is happening just from reading other stuff, but the growing divide between MAGA and non-MAGA Republicans. That does seem to be a serious rift. And the other thing is, every time it's a new record low as approval rating, I expect it to be like 29. It always seems like it's 38%. Like it's just seems like it's stuck there, even though they're saying in this poll it's down a couple points. So
we got an assist from our buddy Pat Kreitlow on the live stream. Thank you so much, Pat, for listening. He says, also known in the political biz as underwater. So Trump is 24 points underwater. That's Titan submersible territory. Ooh, good reference there, Pat. Good reference. I'll be joining you on the yacht this summer. He's the yacht rock captain. So
love Pat. Great to hear from you, buddy.
Absolutely. And really quick,
go
breaking news from Trump land. He will not commit to getting rid of the $1.8 billion slush fund. They said they were going to abandon it. He just said today that he wasn't going to commit to doing that.
That's so weird for him to be contrarian. Like that.
I know. Maybe, I hope reporters ask him when he's here in Wisconsin this week. Stumping for people like Darren Van Orton.
He will be in Western Wisconsin, so
Yes,
get ready, peeps. He'll be over your way if you want to check it out. We've got a great show coming up. Our first guest comes up next, folks. It's Elisabeth. She will be here repping support for the Prairie Land defendants. This is a fascinating story. You're not going to want to miss this. And Felipe Torres Medina joins us in hour number 2, former Stephen Colbert writer and author. And our keyword of this hour, texted in on the app, WAVE, W-A-V-E, WAVE. Come right back, folks. Don't go anywhere. Smoke them if you got them, but we are coming right back after the news. This is Pete and Greg and Nightlight on the Civic Media Network. Love the police. Awesome work, Dom. This is Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. I am Pete Schwaba, joined as always by Greg Bach, coming to you live from Radio Park in beautiful Racine, Wisconsin. Dom Lee working the board in Madison tonight, rocking the new haircut. It still looks new, Dom. I will say that.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you.
It looks like you could have told me you got a trim again today, and I would have been like, okay, that makes sense.
Oh, man, I'm blushing. You got to stop.
Yeah.
Stop. I'm done. Enough.
Wow, if I had a nickel for every time I made another man blush, I would be flat broke, I think. That might be a first.
No, you have 5 cents right now.
5 cents.
That's true.
But I would have already spent it. I already had it spent. Welcome back, folks. Just a reminder that our Civic Media Accelerate Your Summer multi-state text-to-win contest is in full swing here, and you only need the app to play. This hour's keyword, just a reminder, is WAVE, W-A-V-E, WAVE. Text that in on the app, and you are eligible for our daily prize of $100 and a Wisconsin Dells prize package. Those are great daily prizes, and you'll be automatically eligible for the grand prize, which is a $250 gas card and a $250 grocery card. Great stuff. So good luck, everybody.
Just send out thanks to Mary from Tosa, Patty in Sussex, Stephen in Ixonia, Jeff in Oregon, Michael in Tosa, Tyler in Columbia County. I'm going to get more and more radio with every John in Madison, Karen in Racine. But all those people have been texting in, so thank you very much for participating. We appreciate not only your participation, but listening to the show. It's very, very nice of you.
Don't you hope like a winner comes from Nightlight? Don't you hope we are the ones that send somebody to the Dells with $100 or I do too.
Because I will never let anyone forget it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
USA.
Also, I want to send a quick shout out to Nick on the live stream, who's just been very, very nice to us all show right now. Let's see. He says, "Hi, Pete. Greg used to pimp your show when he did mornings. Just started listening recently because I'm available to listen these hours. Love the show." Nice. And he also goes on to say, "Schwaba sounds like a Serbian sausage, so it is exotic."
There we go.
I love that because I've had people say, there's a comedian called John Rigi from Chicago who went on to be a writer, and I remember I was opening for him and I idolized him, and he said, "Your name sounds like my favorite flavor of dessert, peach waba. You have fresh waba tonight. What flavor is it? Peach." And that stuck. And then there was a girl in college, Denise McWilliams, who said, she said, "What's your name?" And I said, "Pete Schwaba." And she goes, "Dang, I thought your name was Peach Cobbler." And I was like, Diane, who would ever
Well, if
have
you
that
let me
name?
take you to the movies next weekend, I'll be Peach Cobbler for you. How you doing?
We'll get right to the dessert.
There you go.
And Greg's
There you
radio
go.
was. That will close any deal on any date, ladies.
All right.
Thank you, Nick. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I feel like that's $1 billion idea right there. I mean,
Schwaba sausages.
Let's not think of taglines right now. It's just going to get really weird, I think. That could be a question of the night. That could be a question of the night coming out. Like, Schwaba sausages. Tagline, give it to us. And it's just going to be a FCC non-compliant mess.
Oh, no kidding. Those are the funnest texts to read, though, because you have to tap dance around all the smut.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know if you guys have ever done that where you're going to read a text without proofing it. You're like, so blah, blah, blah. Oh, I can't say that. Oh,
Then you
nope,
stop.
nope, 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 nope,
Every
nope,
show.
nope,
Every
nope,
show.
nope. Yeah.
Every show. We are waiting for our guest, Elisabeth. We'll see if she shows up or not. She might have had a conflict, but when she is here, we will put her on. In the meantime, just a reminder, our question of the night is, what natural disaster freaks you out the most? You got, what do you got, guys? You got earthquakes, you got tsunamis, hurricanes, earthquakes.
Earthier quakes.
Earthier quakes. You got tropical storms. To me, I say this, and I haven't even thought of my answer yet, or I haven't committed to an answer, I should say. But to me, the winter freaks me out the most. Skidding and slipping more than any of what I just mentioned.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's also what you know, too, because like a lot of those natural disasters we just don't experience. Right. So it's like, all I have is reference from movies and other people who've done them. You know, I've done a hurricane. What's up? But while we're waiting for Elisabeth, we can get into another story we wanted to talk about here. And this one just broke yesterday. And it spells more and more tumult for CBS. Scott Pelley is yet another casualty of 60 Minutes. And right now, as it stands, I think there's 2 hosts, a couple producers, and that's it. He was fired yesterday for being, for basically speaking truth to power. He's unhappy with the direction. He's unhappy with the leadership there. He said something. He was fired.
Yeah. It's so funny too, Greg, because we talked about this last week, and we can ask, Felipe about this when he's here in hour 2, but why are they so sensitive? Like, I remember David Letterman, pardon me, this is almost an exact quote, because he would get unhappy with the network executives that were his bosses, who were his bosses. And he said, ladies and gentlemen, because this network is run by monkeys, he said that. He called his bosses monkeys, and they were just like, okay, he's irascible, a talk show host, let him go. But these guys fire people.
But that comes from the old school tradition of, that's the thing is like Saturday Night Live, the old Tonight Show, late night television. If you're making the network money, they'll make fun of me. I don't care. You're making me money. If I'm part of the joke, but that check clears, good job. The problem now is that because CBS isn't CBS, CBS is owned by Paramount, and they are trying to get into a deal with the Ellison boy. They need approval from the FCC. And in this story in NPR, they talk about the fact that part of the approval of, the Ellison buying CBS or buying Paramount in the first place for Skydance was that they had to get rid of Colbert. They had to start. What did they say here? They said they had to employ a conservative ombudsman as part of their staff to basically make it so that they weren't being too mean to the Trump people. They said that Barry Weiss has said that CBS and the news had gotten anti-Trump. That's not. I mean, here's the thing: is to me personally, I don't think they were being anti-Trump. They were merely reporting the news truthfully and well, as 60 Minutes has done for decades.
And you can't keep playing that card. It's anti-Trump. You're saying bad things about a guy who says bad things about everybody. He calls half the country Democratic scum. So he's the one with the thin skin. That's what I don't understand about this. But you're right, Greg. There's 3. I think Leslie Stahl is still there, Bill Whitaker. And now supposedly they're trying to figure out if they're going to resign too. What happens with 60 Minutes then? Do they just put yes people in, or is it just go away completely?
I think it's going to go away completely. And one of the other things this NPR article talked about was that they were saying, well, 60 Minutes is not keeping up with the modern days of streaming. It's like, well, I can watch 60 Minutes on Paramount Plus if I wanted to. I can watch 60 Minutes on YouTube. They are there. They are you can subscribe to them on social media. You can see them in streaming manners, and that's fine if you want to zhuzh up the look for the 21st century. But you can't say that and then say, well, this guy who's been with the company for decades, simply saying we don't like what's going on, you're firing him because you say being insubordinate. I mean,
Yeah, say what we tell you to say, or you're insubordinate.
Yeah.
That's not what journalism is supposed to be. And now they're saying, well, and I don't know, like, it is the most profitable news program. I don't know if it is currently, but has been. So he should be able to do what Letterman did. Like, if he's reporting the news, what don't you like? Then it's just strict authoritarianism. If you're just not saying what they want you to say, even though it's making money and is, respected.
Well, and I think that's the problem. Like, if Paramount, Skydance weren't trying to merge, if these big corporations, these big billionaire executives didn't have business in front of the FCC, I think there'd be a lot less pressure. But since they all want to not conglomerate, they want to turn into one big company, one big media company, they need to keep sucking up to the White House. And they got to keep doing what I don't think David and or Larry Ellison would be doing any of this stuff if it was a different president. If it was a Republican president from 25 years ago. But because they have to be on their best behavior, I mean, in the article, they had to capitulate to the FCC to change their model. That's not how the free press works.
Right.
Period. And it's talked about the Washington Post in there as well.
And let's not forget, which I just was reminded of in this article. I knew this, but I had totally forgotten it. The Ellisons also co-own TikTok now, their U.S. operations. And they're the reason, Greg, I have 4 followers. I cannot get, I can't become an influencer with 4 followers.
Oh, so I wasn't sure. Okay. No. Yeah. And there's some comments here on the live stream I want to get to really quick here. First of all, Nick says, this is why independent media is so important. Absolutely. It's important to support independent media and support your local papers. And I'm not knocking the big papers we all know, at least in Wisconsin, but I'm talking about your local papers, the ones that are run out of like a one-room office. It's like the work they are doing to report the good news in your community. But also something here, R.C. Martin says, exactly how do we turn this around? Oof. How do we turn this around? You vote. I know it sounds very simplistic, but that's the power we have to vote and take away dollars from these corporations.
Don't tune in. Cancel your Paramount Plus. I did. I
did too.
It's UFC and Taylor Sheridan now, and even Taylor Sheridan left Paramount Plus. So it's just money talks. Follow the money.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, we saw what happened with Jimmy Kimmel when Jimmy Kimmel got suspended. I almost said a fortune. That's not the word I was looking for. A ton of individuals canceled their Disney Plus accounts. Like, money talks. Your vote works. Don't let anyone tell you differently. But That's how we do it. That's the power we still have. And we're in an election year, and folks want to either keep their job or get the job. Ask them about these topics. They're important.
Absolutely. Great stuff. I think this was interesting, you guys. I don't know if did you guys see the movie War Machine?
No, I've heard about it. I want to see it because I love me some Alan Richson.
I do too. And I kind of like, it kind of irritated me a few nights ago. I was looking for something to watch. I forgot I hadn't seen this movie. So I added this to my list, but also they're remaking with this was in the Beats today with a native Wisconsinite, Zack Snyder, who was born in Green Bay. He's going to write and direct a new Escape from New York. I got to give that a rewatch. Yeah. So I got 2 things now on my docket. But Alan Richson is in the news. They're making a War Machine 2, and it got pretty good reviews, and it was a real winner for Netflix, speaking of huge companies. But I'm going to check that out for sure.
I do want to watch that. And he is a great follow on Instagram. He is one of the most joyous individuals, and he is unhinged in a fun way. Where it's like,
agreed.
He just is loving life because he's worked really hard. And also didn't take anything from that guy in his on the street when he was riding his motorcycle.
Tennessee. No. That's the guy you pick a fight with, honest to God. And that should tell you how tough showbiz can be, folks, because he is a mountain. He's a handsome guy. He's a pretty good actor. And he is made of muscle. And what is he, in his early 40s now? And he finally hit with Reacher. I mean, he worked and he's had a good career, but it just goes to show you. Conversely, to be fair here, Little House on the Prairie is relaunching on Netflix as well.
Really?
A reboot of Little House on the Prairie. Michael Landon is not in it. And they've already greenlit a season 2. So you got some violence and some action. You got some down-home spun.
I thought you were like, wait, what violence and action? Oh, wait, that scene where What's-Her-Face gets beaten up by the guy who's the bully.
Laura Ingalls starts kicking ass and taking names. Yeah, absolutely. All right, this is Nightlight with Pete Schwaba and Greg Bach. When we come back, if we don't have Elisabeth, let's talk about why everyone is going to the Midwest now, Greg. That's a great story. We'll talk about that as well.
I can tell you why.
Because it's awesome. Because it rules.
Yeah.
This hour's keyword, folks, in our multi-state text-to-win Accelerate Your Summer contest is WAVE, W-A-V-E. Text it in and join the fun on the app. We are coming right back. Dom and Greg are waving. That's waving. Get it? And the police are taking us to break. This is Nightlight on the Civic Media Network. Great tune. Well done, Dom. That's my guys, the Bodines in Paradise. Well done. This is Pete Schwaba and Greg Bach and Nightlight coming to you live on the Civic Media Network. Dom is our DJ du jour and producer tonight, holding down the fort in Madison. Our keyword, this is the last reminder, folks, of the hour. Maybe we'll say it one more time. You got a few minutes. You got 8 minutes, now 7 minutes to get in the keyword on the app. Man. To qualify for the daily prize of $100 and a fun little Wisconsin Dells prize package. Combine those two. That's summer fun. That's hot fun in the summertime, as I like to call it. And you will automatically make yourself eligible for a $250 grocery card and $250 gas card. So text in this word now, WAVE, W-A-V-E, WAVE. That is this hour's keyword. Good luck.
And speaking of Wisconsin Dells, Pete.
Yeah.
That's just one of the many places folks can go to Wisconsin and travel and visit and see wonderful attractions, whether it's Noah's Ark, my favorite place in the world, Robot World.
Nice.
Wow. Thank you very much. There was a story that came out in Midwest Living, MidwestLiving.com to be specific, why the Midwest Quest is the hottest travel trend of 2026. I'm happy that the rest of y'all on the coasts are getting keen to the idea that we rule.
We got stuff too.
We got great stuff.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got, and here's what I will say, when I used to fly more, what I loved about coming back to the Midwest was how green the earth looked from up high. And I have a love of the desert too, but when you're out there from 35,000 feet, you know, we got the green, we got the fresh lakes, Wisconsin. How can you beat that?
I mean, it really makes sense to me. They say, why the Midwest Quest? There's no real question in my opinion. I'm going to focus on Wisconsin because that's where we're at right now.
Sure.
We are the Yodder-Hay Triangle, and there are a lot of great places. And I don't know, I can't speak for anybody else on this show, but working in comedy, especially at the club, so many comedians from all over the world would come into work, and I guarantee you at least 2 to 3 times a month from the headliners, we would hear the same thing on the Saturday evening show when they'd walk in. They would say something to the effect of, I had no idea how amazing this city is. Wow.
Yeah.
Because there's so much to do. And one of the things it says in this article, too, is that the Midwest is very affordable. It's expensive everywhere, but the Midwest, less expensive. So it doesn't surprise me that people want to come here to have fun in the summertime.
Absolutely. And I think you've got, I'm just looking at this article we found, Wisconsin's National Mustard Museum. I had the mustard curator on the show previously. Minnesota's got the Spam Museum. Hey, those are great. But to me, what makes the Midwest great are the freshwater lakes. And in Wisconsin, that's what we're known for. And our pal Frank Anderson, who founded Wisconsinology.com, Frank is so funny because he always brags about how Wisconsin really has a lot more lakes than Minnesota, even though they're the land of 10,000 lakes. Yeah. I don't get into those petty. I really don't care. I just know Wisconsin is beautiful, but a little friendly rivalry isn't bad either.
I mean, I also think, the lakes are wonderful, but when you look at least in Wisconsin, I'll say you look at places you can go to. Of course, Milwaukee. It's a great place, especially in summertime.
Sure.
Right there on the lake. It's a lot of great food, a lot of all the festivals going on. Door County, of course, is one of the most popular places in the Midwest, if not the country. My sister and my brother-in-law, I think, go there now twice a year. You got Madison is gorgeous. Go to the Northwoods, it's gorgeous. Go to the Boundary Waters, Apostle Islands. I mean, there's so much to do that, you know, it's one of the best kept secrets, in my opinion, that we should allow out to the world, especially those Illinois people who come here all the time.
You know what, Greg? I was trying to make this about the Midwest, and you immediately go to Fibville. Here's what I will say. Here's what I will say. I think I don't like that in Wisconsin we have a tendency to, like, I've heard Door County referred to as, we're like the Cape Cod of the Midwest. No, you're Door County. You're Door County, Wisconsin. Yep. Don't imitate. And I've heard people in Milwaukee say this 15 years ago. A lot of people say we're the Portland of the Midwest. You're Milwaukee. You're Milwaukee. You've got history. You've got great stuff. We have great stuff here in Wisconsin. I don't like that. I feel like it's conceding and it's not necessary.
Well, and also they're not. Door County is Door County. I've been to Portland. Portland and Milwaukee are not the same at all.
Right.
It's and I feel like in the past 5 to 10 years, specifically in Milwaukee, because Madison knows who they are. They'll tell you without even asking. It's fine. They'll let you know. But in Milwaukee, I feel like they've really started to pick up a sense of identity and a sense of confidence that, you know, like got good sports teams. We got a good art scene. There's great restaurants coming up. Music. They don't need to be like another city. They are their own city. Wisconsin is not the Midwest whatever. We are Wisconsin. Minnesota is Minnesota. I just feel like own your identity, and it's great. And that's why people are coming all over the country to the Midwest. It's wonderful.
If I could just get another pitch in for Christmas City, USA, that will catch on. I guarantee. I have people, I posted a video on Facebook, just a little funny thing about me flagging down the postman who ignores me. And people are like, and I mentioned Christmas City, and people are like, Christmas City? And I'm like, yes, let's go. We need an identity here. Logging is not a thing anymore. It's been 120 years. Christmas City. So you're right, Greg. We all need our identity.
We're just asking Santa to make his summer home in Marinette.
He'd still freeze.
And the Mustard Museum is really good. The Mustard Museum is amazing.
It's very cool.
And Dom in for the last plug on the Mustard Museum. So good.
Dom thought you were going to go after Madison right there. That's when he started going like,
"Oh no, just Madison has confidence. They got bold confidence.
Oh yeah,
they know who they are."
Greg loves to pick a bone. That's what
I'm not picking a bone. That's true.
Illinois,
no bones pick here.
Madison.
Oh well, Illinois. I mean, whatever.
Oh, the Bodines
and
are
Chris,
taking us.
we have way more lakes than Minnesota. Chris, take that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who are you saying, Chris?
Chris on the text line here. Chris Casper, our buddy.
Oh, I thought it was
WMDX.
Casper. Okay, we'll get into that too. The news is up next, folks. Text in the next 10 seconds, WAVE, W-A-V-E, WAVE on the app. And our question of the night is, what natural disaster freaks you out the most? We are coming back with our favorite Colbert writer, Felipe Torres Medina. It's Pete and Greg, a Nightlight.
Trying to make sense of the world? You've got Nightlight with Pete Schwaba and Greg Bach.
Call our toll-free number now.
Headlines, culture, and real conversation.
And now, our feature presentation.
Here's Pete and Greg.
Welcome back to Nightlight with Pete Schwaba and Greg Bach here on the Civic Media Network. We're so happy you're joining us here in hour 2 of the program. Had a great first hour. If you've missed any of it, simply go to civicmedia.us/shows, look for Nightlight or any of the programs you're interested in, download episodes and catch up. Take them wherever you'd like. Listen to them as a podcast. We'll be right there in your pocket. Join us for the live stuff. Have a great time. So happy you are a part of it today with us. Folks, we had a really good first hour, had a lot of fun, but we're looking forward to a fantastic second hour. We'll be getting to your comments on our question of the night, which we'll get to in a moment, but then we'll be also English, interesting. We'll also be speaking with our guest tonight, Felipe Torres Medina, an award-winning humorist and writer. He's an author, and he was a writer for The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. We'll be talking about his experience there, as well as his book, America Let Me In, Choose Your Immigration Story. That's all coming up in just a little bit. And then we'll wrap everything up with the nightcap. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a good time here on this Wednesday edition of Nightlight. Don't forget, folks, tomorrow we're going to have ourselves the Nightlight Movie Club. And this time we're talking James Bond. This time we're talking the 2006 Casino Royale, starring Mr. Daniel Craig, the first and controversially blonde Bond. So,
Ooh, forgot about that.
That's right.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about that in the second hour. So watch the movie. Let us know your thoughts tomorrow. We'll be having a great time with that. And for all the folks out there who participated in the Accelerate Your Summer multi-state text-to-win contest, thank you so much for participating. You have another chance in the 7 o'clock hour to get a keyword in. Make sure you have that Civic Media app. Make sure you have it tuned to your favorite radio station like WAUK. And then you can simply enter the keyword for your chance to win $100 and a Wisconsin Dells prize pack, including a grand prize entrance for $250 in gas, $250 in groceries. That's all coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. Then it starts all again tomorrow. 7 more chances for the Accelerate Your Summer multi-state text-to-win contest. Speaking of the app, that's a way you can get in touch with us. That's a great way to do that. Make sure you get that on your device. As we said, you need that for the contest. But before we talk about how to get in touch with us, let's talk about the question of the night. Dom?
Let's talk about the question.
Okay, question.
Question.
Pregunta.
Question.
Question.
Hey, I have a question. Questions. This question.
Domanda.
Question.
Question.
Questions.
The question of the night is, what natural disaster freaks you out the most? Let us know by calling or texting. The number is the same, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. You can leave a comment on the live stream. We are currently streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform we still call Twitter. Also, again, as I said, you can get on the Civic Media app. You can call, you can text, listen live, get news stories. It's really great. It's absolutely free. And if you ever want to email us, Nightlight, Nitelite, at civicmedia.us. Go old school. Let us know your thoughts on a topic, a guest, how we're doing. Even if you don't like us, we read them. We take them to heart. But that's right. Nightlight at civicmedia.us is a great way to also get in touch with us. And so let's kick it off. Pete, what about you? What is a natural disaster that scares you?
Well, I think, you got your basics, right? Your floods, your landslides, your avalanches, tsunami, hurricane, tornado. I forgot about wildfire. That scares the living daylight. Like if I was in a wildfire, Greg makes light of my fears, but that would freak me out. And I think winter. I think a bad blizzard, the idea of freezing to death. And I knew somebody who, I don't know if you guys remember this storm like in 2010 or 2009, where people in Chicago, I was reading about this because I still lived in sunny California. I was reading about this horrible storm. People left their cars on Lakeshore Drive. One guy who was a family friend walked out of a bar because he wanted to see this phenomenon and drowned in snow.
What?
Yes, it was, you get disoriented. It's like flying through dark. And I think either a blizzard, the extremes, a horrible blizzard or a terrible wildfire, both awful ways to go.
I saw a few years ago in Atlanta, they had something similar where there was snowfall, and in a lot of those southern cities, they don't have the ability to plow. They don't have the equipment because they don't generally need it. People just left their cars on the freeway, and they were like, we'll come back tomorrow. It's fine. I'm like, no, okay, cool. Can't you guys just invest like maybe something for like one plow for the freeways? But yeah, I mean, that's absolutely craziness. And what's interesting, you say that drowning in snow reminds me of a statistic that our old friend Brittany Merlot gave me when we were talking about snowfall, which was 1 foot of snow equals 1 inch of rain. So when you think of something like, 4 or 5 feet of snow, that's a lot happening right there.
That's insane. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's, winter freaks me out just because sometimes it's just too cold. We shouldn't be out there. But Dom, what about you?
Well, first off, I was a part of that blizzard in 2009, and yes, it was very, it was bad. It was very bad from what I remember. But I would say, oh man, I was gonna say wildfire, but I think I have to also go tsunami too. Tsunamis really freak me out because there's so much nowadays there's so much coverage of them. So I see them, you see them all the time. Yeah, they're just so scary. I've never had to deal with one, but I would be really freaked out if I ever had to. It's, no.
I feel the same way about tsunamis because I feel like it's the second thing that comes. Like you see things like earthquakes or hurricanes, and then like it goes out to the ocean and something happens, and you're like, and a tsunami's coming. It's like one natural disaster that follows another one. So yeah, tsunamis terrify me. So
I did laugh when Dom said I was part of a blizzard, which I was going to say you were a snowflake or what? How did that work?
You worked at Dairy Queen?
Come on now. Oh yeah, I
just take the thing and just turn it upside down. Like that.
Greg, what about you?
I just said it.
Oh, that was your okay.
Yeah,
I just thought you were making a comment of the residual.
Oh no,
I agree, and a tsunami is terrible too because I think I was in my 30s before I really knew what that was, and there was one in the news over in the Far East. One happened, and people didn't know what was going on.
Yeah,
and a guy I knew here is like, "Well, didn't they know that the water's?" I go, "No, if you never had experienced one, you wouldn't know what was happening." You know.
Also, you should never approach a natural disaster where people are hurt, displaced, and/or killed with that kind of attitude. Like, what are they?
Awful.
What are they supposed to do? Like, get in a plane and all leave the entire country? My goodness, people.
Exactly.
Speaking of the people, what are the people saying on the text line regarding our question of the night?
We got quite a few. We got Brett from Brown Deer saying, "I've been in a few of these storms, like a tornado and a hurricane, but the one that would freak me out the most is a volcanic eruption." Okay.
Oh, that was on there too. Yeah.
That's one I feel like I could escape. I feel like I could escape that one.
I don't know.
Because of molten lava's slow pace.
I feel like I could outrun lava.
But for how long? Lava just keeps coming, though.
If you get to the high ground, though, if you just get to a high ground, like get to a roof of a building, take me to the closest Jimmy John's, just get to the top of the roof, and you're going. Lava can't touch me.
It's like a slow tsunami.
Jimmy John's typically one story, though. I would aim higher.
Never know.
Literally. Yeah.
All right. Brett also said, "Put money in my pocket. I'm going to the Dells, and my wife is $100 richer. Easiest $100 I ever made, and I didn't have to get naked to make it." Okay, Brett. There we go. Bada boom.
Thank you, Brett.
You don't ever have to get naked.
Sometimes you just want to.
I
guess so.
Worst natural disaster? All right. We got Tyler.
Me naked.
Wearing a bathing suit in the shower.
All right. We got Tyler listening on WMDX says, "Earthquakes. I like the rave environment of a good storm, but at least I know it's coming days out." Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. We also have Karen from Racine says, "Wildfires are very scary." There we go.
Wildfires. Sorry.
We got, let's see. We got John from Madison texting and says, "For Pete and Greg, one of which would be rough in the heating climate. Polar slide sloshing the big ponds."
I don't even know what that means.
I don't understand that either.
One is which one? I don't know what that means, John. I need clarification. John Murray above him too from Madison says tsunami or flood.
Tsunami or flood. Wow. And then
flood's scary.
John also is saying, "But the big killer diller is an asteroid hit." Okay.
It's not the only one to say that, by the way.
Where else?
Did you get?
You'll see.
Was there thievery at play here?
No. It's just a common thing, like being hit by an asteroid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a common thing.
Yeah. A common fear.
Does it feel like you're the only one that hasn't been hit by an asteroid this week?
Have you recently been hit by an asteroid? Well, call Deloitte and Ribbons. We're here for your asteroid needs.
Lionel Hutz.
Sorry, I apologize. I was trying to be funny there. Fail.
We still got a few more John Murray texts. He says, "Here comes the decade of the coldest winter ever, Peter. You are right. Winter is the scariest of them all."
It's awful.
Because he refers to you as Peter. I'm always like, who's he talking to?
I know. John is one of the few people that calls me Peter, and I'm okay with it. Not that I wouldn't be, but yeah.
And he also says the winter kills almost everything. 400,000
We need to start taking John Murray's text and just slamming him into one big text.
Like an asteroid.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll do it. We'll do it right now. The winter kills almost everything. 400,000 people plus Schwaba and cockroaches and bed bugs survive. And then he says the Burl Ives snowman from Rudolph will not be cruising around and making us smile.
Dude, John's on fire today.
Wow. Okay.
He's on wildfire tonight.
Just because it wildfire. I request that song as a bumper. Pete, what do we have on the Facebook page? We'll get to more text in a little while, but let's get to the Facebook.
We've got Scott Tom, one of my favorite Madisonians, says, "Earthquake in Shaky Town. We got a big old convoy. Ain't she a beautiful sight?" No idea what that means, but thank you, Scott. It's always great to hear.
People are just speaking their own language tonight.
This is stream of conscious text night tonight. Mike Desitel says, my sister passing gas. Wow.
Oh, boy.
That's some serious wind in that house. All right. Thank you, Mike. And then Ian MacArthur put a laughing thing like, don't laugh at the fart jokes, Ian. Come on. Mike's better than that.
Jokes are funny.
Vince says, aging. Oh, I'm with you there. Robert Bro says global warming. I don't know if that's a natural disaster, but yeah, it could be. Sure. Sean says populism.
Oh boy. Okay, now we're
really philosophical.
Yeah.
And then Amanda says a sinkhole can happen anywhere at any time for any reason. No one knows. I'm scared now.
That's true. That scared me.
Ian says solar flare. Layman Rob says with work ice storms.
Yeah. Yep. He does a lot of work outside.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. And then Andrew Brown says Trump's 250 concert. The big 250
concert, more like a rally. Am I right?
He's just going to talk. Yeah,
he's going to talk. He's going to recite his poetry. So
prepare to be dazzled.
Sydney Politics on the live stream says, I used to think the movie Twister was about a sentient tornado that was attacking people, and that set the stage for my fear of tornadoes. Happy New Year. I saw Twister in the theater when it first came out, the original, and I will say this, it was so well done with the sound, I thought a tornado was going to rip the roof off of the actual theater. It was so impressive yet scary.
Which has happened, actually. During a tornado, a theater got its roof ripped off. I can't remember when that was, but yeah, that's pretty scary stuff.
Very, very scary stuff. You know what isn't scary, though, guys?
What?
Our next guest. Ooh. Coming up in just a little bit. See what I did there? That's called a segue.
That was an amazing segue. Wow. Well
that
done.
Was
and he's going to talk about, you know who he's going to talk about or who he used to work for, Greg? Steve Colbert.
Steve Colbert. Oh, I love Steve Colbert. All right. Well,
no relation to Steve Wonder.
Stevie Wonder's real name? Steveland, by the way. All right. Coming up after the break, we're going to be talking to Felipe Torres Medina. He's an award-winning humorist, author, and former writer for The Late Show with Colbert, talking about his book, his time on the show, and what's going on in his world. Very excited to talk to him again, but that's all coming up right after the break, so don't go anywhere. You are listening and or watching Nightlight with Pete Schwaba and Greg Bach here on the Civic Media Network. Stay tuned. Stay close. Welcome back to Nightlight with Pete Schwaba and Greg Bach here on the Civic Media Network. If you want to get in touch with us, it's that easy. Simply call or text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Leave a comment on the live stream. We're currently streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform we still call Twitter. Still ahead, we'll be getting into the nightcap where we will read more of your text messages and talk about what we have learned. So stick around for that. But right now, very excited to bring on our next guest, actually our first guest for the evening. He is an award-winning humorist. He is an author of the book, America Let Me In, a choose-your-own immigration story. And he is also a former writer for The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. He joins us via the live stream. Felipe Torres Medina is here. Good evening, Felipe. How are you tonight?
Hi, guys. I'm great. I'm happy to be here.
Excellent, excellent. I talked to you, I believe, last year when your book was coming out. It was great to talk to you about that. And when everything went down with, I don't know if you heard about what happened. I'm sure you did, with The Late Show, Stephen Colbert, of course. But I wanted to have you on the show to talk about.
Wait, what happened?
I mean, they just told you it was vacation, didn't they? Okay, sorry, buddy. Okay,
why doesn't my key work?
Yeah.
But I wanted to have you on to talk about this because it's, you know, it's still very fresh, but it's kind of like an unknown situation for a lot of people with regard to what exactly happened. But I mean, you were a writer for The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. How long did you work there?
I worked at The Late Show since October 2019, so about 6 longish years, like 6 years and a little bit.
Yeah. And that time you were a writer, and I mean, I actually saw you on the show. He had you on as a guest to talk about your book. It was great. And it was like, after we had you on the show, I'm like, Felipe, I'd see you do stuff on TV and whatnot. And it's that weird thing of like, they're on your show once and you feel like I'm in their fan club now. But You know, can you, I mean, I know it's fresh and I'm sure it doesn't, the whole situation is terrible, but can you kind of give us a brief overview of just your experience with what happened with regard to the cancellation, finding out to where you are maybe today and, you know, how you are dealing with it, if you will?
Well, I mean, the reason we were canceled, and you can choose to read into a narrative or not. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, the official reason the show was canceled is that apparently it was no longer making money for CBS, and that is the line. A purely financial decision is what they have said and repeatedly claim was the reason for the cancellation. And uh, I don't like. I I will stick to the line that was the official line,
Mhm.
but people are entitled to their opinions and to
Yeah.
have their thoughts based on the actions of the network and the new owners of the network. But I do think, like, at no point was it communicated to me that it was for any other reason, and at no
Mhm.
point was it. I was just an employee at the show.
Yeah.
I was not privy to any of these conversations. In terms of like how it has been, I mean, it was, the show's great. The show was an incredible show. The show employed 200 plus people in the city and the state of New York and New Jersey, the New York metropolitan area. And we had the best in the business, I will say, like truly the best in the business in every, like at every part of the operation. So it was incredible to be able to work with people who were truly the best.
Yeah.
And everyone from props to interns to graphics and editors, and then there were the writers, but that we were just a little part of a beautiful, beautiful machine
Yeah.
that was making incredible stuff every day, which
Yeah.
to me is the most cool and beautiful thing that we were doing, is that it was every dang day we were putting on a little miracle that was this show that
Yeah.
was like perfectly polished
Yeah.
and sometimes imperfectly polished, which kind of gave it a little bit of comedic sheen.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was great. And obviously Stephen, who is like the best person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Felipe, it's so great to have you here. I have questions about the actual gig itself. I always found that to be, like, probably in show business, one of the most intimidating jobs. You have to come up with stuff every day, monologues, sketches, like it's a breakneck pace. So, but I'll get this question out of the way to stick with what Greg's point was about the cancellation. What did that do to the writer's room, the mood, when you guys knew you show up to this job you love? What was the mood like after you found out? And was it hard to be funny?
I I don't know. I mean, surely there were moments where like we were sad, or personally I was sad, and
Yeah.
obviously it was a shock because the show, it was number one in ratings like in its category. We were beating Kimmel, we were beating Fallon, we were so like shock obviously was the first emotion. I do think when you're doing a show every day and you're at that level of professionalism, you kind of don't have time to feel too much.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so we were like, as you said, it's a breakneck pace. We were doing so much, and so much was happening in the world. And the mandate of the show, as Stephen always said, was to talk about what people were talking about. And so it was fast, but we didn't have time really to commiserate too much. We just wanted to have fun, and I think maybe that was the point, to have as much fun as we could with the time that we had. And I think we did that.
Excellent. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, just as a viewer, it seemed like it was a blast from all the things. And we'll talk more. I want to talk more about that on the other side of the break, but we're going to take a really quick moment to pay some bills. We are speaking with humorist, author, comedian Felipe Torres Medina here on Nightlight with Pete Schwaba and Greg Bach. Stick around. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Stay close. Welcome back to Nightlight with Pete Schwaba here and Greg Bach. I'm Greg Bach too. Sorry, I'm on the show as well. We're here on the Civic Media Network coming to you live from all over Wisconsin. It's the Yatter Triangle. Thank you so much for joining us. Do not forget, we'll be back tomorrow as always. We'll be speaking to Logan Rogie, Senior Communications Specialist with Travel Wisconsin, to talk about what to do, where to do it, and in Wisconsin in the summertime. And then we'll, of course, be doing the Nightlight Movie Club. We will be talking about the 2006 Casino Royale, not the 1970s version, but that's going to be in the second hour in our Nightlight Movie Club, so join us for that. And do not forget, also, after the show is done in the 7 o'clock hour, you will get the final keyword of the day for our Accelerate Your Summer multi-state text-to-win contest. All you need is the keyword, the Civic Media app, and your chance to win $100 as well as a Wisconsin Dells gift card. Or, sorry, Wisconsin Dells prize pack. I can talk. I swear to God, everyone out there, I know how to speak. It's been a day.
You're doing great, man.
Thank you. Thank you. That definitely feels so supportive right
was
now.
That condescending enough?
There was so much energy in that. You're doing great. But right now we are talking to Felipe Torres Medina. He is an award-winning humorist, and that's how you know someone is not just funny but smart, when they have the word humorist next to their name. He is an author of the book America America Let Me In, a Choose Your Own Immigration Story, which we're going to talk about in just a few moments here. And he was also a writer for The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. And like one last thing I wanted to ask with regard to this show, I really think folks should go out there to YouTube and watch the best of the worst, because something you said earlier, Felipe, is you get a very good sense of that from that episode, the entire family of the show, the work that everyone puts into it. And I thought that episode was really great because, you know, he was paying tribute to all of you while totally making fun of everybody. But it was great to see just who is part of that family. But the question I have for you as a writer, when it's time to write the final episode or come up with the idea or like start to craft that, what does that look like? Is it just a whiteboard and just 1,000 ideas? Or was it thought about in Stephen's head and he said, this is what we're doing?
I think a little bit of both. I think once we knew that we were getting canceled and we knew that we were going to have to do a final show, there was a little bit of like blue sky conversation, like what would you like to see? You know, there was a lot of pitches that each one of us, there were 12 to 14 writers, and then there's like writer producers and stuff like that. I think each one of us like had several stabs at like the idea of like, what do you want to see before the show ends? And a lot of that stuff ended on the show. A lot of stuff didn't end on the show. Some stuff ended on the final episode. Some stuff ended on other episodes, you know, as we got closer to the end. And of course, Stephen had an idea. At some point, Stephen like had an idea of what that finale should be and what it should look like. So it was a little bit of both. And, you know, that was like, I think what made it so fun is that we were all like, it was complicated because it was like we were thinking about the end in the downtime kind of that we had, but you know, we still had to do a show every day.
Yeah.
You know, and we still had to like do today's show. So that was a huge commitment on both parts from like Stephen and the writers and everyone else on the show, really, of like, okay, we're trying to do this thing, but also we gotta have jokes for today, you know, and we have a second act that's comedy for like next week, and we have to fill that somehow. So it was really cool, but yeah, it was a little bit of both, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Felipe, late night TV, that's just, it's part of America. We all grew up watching Carson Letterman, and now Stephen Colbert. Talk about, if you would, your background. What led you to a job? Like I said, the pace, I'm a writer myself, but I was always intimidated. I don't know how you guys do that, coming up with stuff every day, the monologue jokes and all of that. What was your background and what got you to The Late Show with Stephen Colbert?
So I did not grow up with Carson because I was born in Colombia in South America. And so we sometimes got Letterman, you know, and it was kind of like the show that we like, The Late Show. It was kind of interesting that the one I grew up watching was The Late Show, and it's the one I ended up writing for. So we would get The Late Show with David Letterman, and it was kind of like when I was sick and I couldn't sleep, I would like turn on my TV with the volume really low and the TV in my room and watch that. And then I like did like eventually we watched SNL. We got SNL in Colombia, but it wasn't live and it wasn't on Saturdays. So it was more like Tuesday night 3 months later, rather than Saturday Night Live.
Saturday night, not live.
Yeah, exactly. And it was on Tuesday, so it was funny. And so I think that was like my first exposure to like Update, was my first exposure to like topical jokes like that. Now there were some like satirical shows in Colombia that were very good that eventually stopped. And so I think that was also part of like my background. But then once I moved to the States, my background, I trained at the Upright Citizens Brigade, which is like one of the biggest improv and sketch theaters in New York, which is founded by Second City people, basically. And so that was my background. I would, and once I moved to the States, I like, consumed all the shows. And growing up as a teenager in Colombia, I would watch the Colbert Report and the Daily Show on cable. So I think the traditional late night, we kind of got Letterman a little bit. Then I watched Update. Then I graduated into the Report and the Daily. And then I moved here, and then it was like, well, I watch all of it, Yeah. And yeah, so that's my background.
That must have been something when you walked into the writer's room for the first time on The Late Show, given what you just said. That's so great.
That's very,
Yeah, it was really, really exciting.
Well, and so that leads me to my next question here, or just my next point, is the fact that, you are from Colombia, you immigrated to America, and the reason why you came onto our show last year was to talk about your book, America Let Me In, A Choose Your Own Immigration Story, which I've now listened to twice. It is a phenomenal book. It is so funny, but it's also so meticulous in the journey, not just the immigration journey, but the immigration journey for this person and the immigration journey for that person, having to do with your status. Can you talk more about, what led you to, to talk about your own immigration story is wonderful, but to do what you did, which was to really do some hardcore research into it, what led you to say, I want to write this book instead of the typical memoir?
I have always thought that my life is not that interesting. So I was like, I don't want to just write a memoir because that's not that interesting. Like Malala should write a memoir, and she did. But, like that's the people whose memoirs I would read and I would be interested in. And I was like, I'm like, I have overcome some kind of difficulty, but, I'm not going to compare myself to anyone who actually has had to overcome things in life and has had a story that is good and everyone should know about. And so what I was interested in was the fact that I think the most interesting thing about my life, especially as an immigrant in the States, was that I had to explain my very well-meaning, mostly liberal friends in New York, like Bernie voters, kind of like in 2016, that the entire premise of their immigration system, when Trump was going out there and being like, they're not sending their best, people were like, well, they should just do this. And I was like, well, they can't, there's no right way to come to America. And also Bernie at the time in 2016 was talking about getting rid of the H-1B program, but not suggesting the H-1B visa, which is the normal work visa, but not suggesting an alternative, while he was campaigning. I was like, what are we doing? What is Trump is saying this in one end of the political spectrum, Bernie is saying this on the other end of the political spectrum, and everyone has an opinion on immigration, but no one knows what they're talking about, And so to me, that was like a dominant thought, basically since I moved to the States. And so when it came to writing the book, I was like, well, how can I write a story that actually makes me laugh, but actually informs people of their own immigration system? And so I found this kind of like multiple paths kind of form where I could create multiple characters living different kinds of visas and different kinds of immigration journeys.
Yeah.
And that's how we did it. That's how I ended up going into this.
It really is great, folks. I honestly say get the audiobook. The audiobook is fantastic. All I'll say is the lawyer. That's all I'll say. You'll know when you listen. So,
our guest is Felipe Torres Medina. He is the author of America Let Me In, a Choose Your Immigration Story, and he is a writer, a former writer for the Stephen Colbert, or the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Let's talk about the writing process, if you don't mind, Felipe. We were talking about this breakneck pace of jokes and monologue jokes and sketches, and then you write a book, which is a lot more, I would assume, tedious, or maybe something you just weren't used to writing. What was more fulfilling and what was more fun in terms of writing for you?
I think they were both incredibly fulfilling. I think the biggest thing that late night writing does for a writer is just speed and the ability to just write and throw jokes away and kill your darlings and be like, this joke was good, but it's not good enough. All right. Or it's not for today. Goodbye. You know? And I used a lot of that muscle and those skills when writing the book, because in the end, the book was following the same format as like a show like ours did, which was you get a data point and then you find a way to, and jokeify, right? To say something funny out of that. Now I added a layer of comedy and stories to frame all these data points, you know, but a lot of the book, there's certain parts of the book that are just like explainers on different kinds of visas when I'm not telling a story. And those were just like, that's the same mechanism I did to write monologue jokes for the show. You know, here's a data point, then a joke. Here's a data point, then a joke. And so in that sense, it was very similar. The thing that was crazy is how much slower the pace of publishing is. And so I remember being like, okay, well, I guess I wrote this joke and now I have to wait for my editor to read it, and you know, it'll be 3-4 weeks, and that's fine. Like I wasn't expecting them to read it faster. They had other projects to work on, but it was like, but why isn't one of the funniest people alive, Stephen Colbert, telling me that this joke works 40 minutes after I wrote it? You know, like this makes no sense.
That's great.
That's amazing. The breakneck versus the page, it's got to be a very weird place to go. And we don't have enough time anyways, but I'm not going to ask the question, so what's next? Because I'm sure you're just getting yourself in a place of making those next moves. But I'll tell you what, when you're doing something next, when something comes up, you got a new gig, whether it's a book, a show, whatever, please come back and talk to us about that, because it's always great to talk to you. And I really look forward to seeing what you do in the future, Felipe.
I would love to come back, and thanks so much for those nice words.
Of course. Felipe Torres Medina is a humorist, a writer, author of America Let Me In, a Choose Your Immigration Story. He has been our guest this evening. We're going to take a really quick break. When we come back, we're going to go into the nightcap, wrap things up about our thoughts, as well as your text messages on our question, what is the natural disaster that scares you the most? But you stick right here, because you are listening and are watching Nightlight with Pete Schwaba and Greg Bach here on the Civic Media Network.
It's time to wind it down. Let's take a moment to look back and ask, what did we learn today? This is Nightcap with Greg and Pete.
All right, folks, welcome back to Nightlight with Pete Schwaba and Greg Bach here on the Civic Media Network. You can always get in touch, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Leave a comment on that there live stream. We're currently streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform we still call Twitter. We are officially in the nightcap, where I don't know why I said it louder and louder right there.
Let's go.
It's the nightcap. So welcome back to the nightcap, where we read your text messages and we talk about what we've learned. See what I did there? There you go.
I feel like I should be holding a cocktail.
I really feel like
doing that.
Yeah, and we should actually get smoking jackets for this segment.
Sweet.
And bring the
pipe.
dim the light. Oh yeah.
Bring my jammies.
Love it.
You said the most childish thing right there. I'll bring my jammies.
In case you have to tinkle. Yeah.
I'm wearing my onesie with the poop shoot. All right, folks, we're going to get to some more of your text messages and thoughts on our social media as well as the text line. Folks, by the way, follow us on social media. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. You can follow Civic Media's YouTube page, too, to find out more about what's going on here at Civic Media. But let's get to more thoughts on the question of the night. What natural disaster scares you the most? Dom, who do we have left on the text line?
Our good buddy Chris Casper said, y'all classify puddles as lakes. Just saying.
Ooh.
I'm guessing he's referring to fibs.
Yeah. Chris, you classify the Vikings as a football team. I said what I said.
It is on.
All right.
Yeah. There you go.
A duel.
He probably would agree with you.
Yeah.
And then he went on to say, large extinction level event asteroid. Okay.
That doesn't frighten me because I'll be dead most likely.
Yeah, that's a long
And
time
if it's
ago.
if we can see it, it's still light years away. You know, with all the technology we have, it still scares me. Don't
I
get me
said
wrong.
this to Bridget a couple years ago. I said, how amazing would it be to be on this earth when something like that happens? Like, this earth is many billions of years old, but you are on earth when it finally happens. That feels like I don't know. If you're going to go,
Privilege.
go
A
out
gift.
big.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool.
We got Nick from Marshall saying, of course, wildfires and horrible blizzards, but I think active volcanoes. I didn't even say that. But I think active volcanoes would be the worst, or tsunamis.
Gotcha.
Very true.
Okay.
We got John from Madison saying, to clarify from his previous text in the first hour, since I was texting while driving. Oh, come on,
Oh, John.
when the polar caps slide out of position. Okay.
Ooh, I'll do it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What else we got here? We got Brett from Brown Deer saying, you can't outrun a pyroclastic flow from a volcano. That hot ash is coming at you over 100 miles an hour and will cause your lungs to explode from the 1,500-degree heat. Okay.
You know what, Brett?
Take that, Greg.
Hey, Brett, how does it feel to be a know-it-all professor? Good Lord, just trying to live my life.
It's pretty impressive.
This next one's the worst
Yes,
one, though.
and then
yeah, this is terrifying.
Andrea texting in from WMDX says, drowning under the ice on a lake.
Yeah.
Well, that's going
Because
to be
you
my
know,
nightmare
you have the
tonight.
time. You're looking up at the ice going, oh, no.
But if you can find a hole in the ice, there are ways of getting out. That's
Yeah, if you're Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible.
Okay, all right. I can't outrun a volcano. I'm certainly not Tom Cruise.
We got Mary from Tosa texting in saying, natural disaster freaks me out while driving along and dropping into a gigantic sinkhole, natural or man-made, from messing with the environment. Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
And we got Whistler from Richland Center saying, worst feeling sometimes, spirits from the large cemetery east of me. Shiver me timbers. I don't know. Okay. All right, Whistler.
He's a pirate.
He's a pirate. We got Melissa from Willie Street texting in, says, here's my ridiculous natural disaster is a zombie apocalypse. Thankfully, someone gifted me the handbook to survive it. Thank you.
I feel like that's not a natural disaster. It's more of like a scientific disaster. But I feel like the amount of John Murray, Melissa from Willie Street texts that have come in over this topic, they talk about this a lot.
Then look what he said. He said,
It's a topic.
Yeah, he said,
over dinner.
My darling wife, Melissa, on Willie Street, almost got hit by lightning. It hit the door behind her as she entered. John was in the doorway, and and it was a really bright flash. Fried the oven, microwave, washer, dryer. Wow.
Oh, man.
My dad got hit by lightning once. It was weird.
Jeez.
Whoa.
Yeah, we got.
Yeah.
That would be a bad one, too. These are just bad ways to die, though,
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Like,
Now we're not natural disasters anymore. We're just on how you
scared.
might die.
Wow, still got quite a few here.
We got a couple more. So
let's jam.
Yeah, let's keep going.
Let's jam it out,
Melissa from Willie Street says, nuclear winter. Trump would call his nuke launch a natural disaster, so the math works. And boy, I'm going dark. I'm done.
Yeah, you guys really are.
We got Dave from Madison texting in, says, another poorly managed pandemic. Okay.
Yes, that terrifies me.
Yeah. Yep. And then Mark from the Sac says, magnetic pole flip. Is that a natural disaster? I don't know what that means. But and then Wizard said, follow up, isn't death part of natural occurrences? It's true.
Ooh,
It's true.
that
Good
really
point.
is.
I've
What
got
else
one
we-
more on Facebook
Yeah.
here, too. Jim Celovich says, meteor destroying Earth. A lot of people scared of meteors. And I could see
Seen
it.
a lot of movies, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be tough.
Really quick before we get out of here, Pete, what'd you learn?
I want to be a humorist. I want to be an esteemed author. No, I learned that, Felipe is a great guy. And what a genuinely decent, seemingly decent human being. Grateful, and uber talented too. It was fun to meet
Felipe
him.
is fantastic. Seriously, folks, pick up his book, and I really suggest audio version because it's great to listen to. America Let Me In, a Choose Your Immigration Story. Dom, what did you learn tonight?
Yeah, Stephen Colbert is also a great guy, as said from
Yeah.
Felipe. So very awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
And I learned too that Nick on the stream wants Dom to know who Sergeant Hulka is. So
I see. I didn't know who that was.
Just watch Stripes.
Okay.
watch
All right.
Stripes for sure. What about you, Greg?
I learned that this show is awesome. We roll with the punches. We have a great time, and it's really fun. And the people listening and responding is what makes me smile. I already knew it so much, but I needed it today. So I'll just say that. That's what I learned in this moment today. All right, folks, we got to get out of here. Don't forget, after we are done, will be the final keyword of the day for the Accelerate Your Summer Text to Win multi-state contest. Got to have the app. Text in the keyword for your chance to win $100 and a Wisconsin Dells prize package. Plus, you get entered into the main contest, $250 in gas, $250 in groceries. So good luck. Stick around for that. And then 7 more chances tomorrow. So we'll be back tomorrow talking to Logan Rogie, and it's the
You'll get
Nightlight Movie Club, Casino Royale. Let's get out of here. Pete,
Yes.
say goodnight to the people.
Good night, Wisconsin.